I'm muted. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our live stream. I am Carly. I'm the Graduate Coordinator of Student Staff Selection at UCF.
And my name is Kelsey Dillard. I am the Coordinator for Student Staff Selection and Leadership.
All right, and today we're going to be talking about the RA role, everything it entails, and feel free to start sending any questions into the chat. We'll be happy to answer them shortly.
All right, as Carly said just a moment ago, this presentation will briefly go over the RA position, but will mainly focus on giving time for you all to ask questions to the selection committee, myself and Carly, as well as our current RAs on the call with us about the RA selection and interview process. Right, so what does an RA do? Great question. First and foremost, RAs create and maintain a community environment, so sharing resources, supporting our area council, mediations, roommate agreements, initiatives, and other committees, and connection to the community and campus at large. There are some administrative tasks, so things such as incident reports, health and safety checks, work orders, occupancy checks, welcome ready checks, staff meetings, and more. They do serve on an on-duty rotation, so during weekdays, this is 4:45 to 8 p.m. at the desk of your residence hall, and then 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. on call. And then on weekends, that's 4:45 to 4:45 p.m. the next day on call. For this, they're not every single weekday or every single weekend day, but that's just a time frame for when you are on duty. And then, of course, implementation of the residential curriculum, so having intentional conversations, attending community meetings, relationship building, and campus partnerships as well. Right. What does a time commitment look like? Another great question. So being an RA, you'll work approximately 15 to 20 hours a week, depending on the week. So our move-in, move-out weeks tend to have a little bit more time, whereas other weeks it's more towards that 15. We do, within our residence halls, have duty staff 24/7, 365. That doesn't mean that you will be in the hall 24/7, 365, but we will have staff in the halls 24/7, 365. Of course, working move in and move out, which we have more information on a later slide. You also will attend weekly staff meetings, have one-on-ones with your supervisor or supervisors. We also have spring, summer, and fall training, which you will attend as well. We have, again, more information on a later slide. You'll interact with residents, which should happen often. And then if you do have any outside work that must be approved, you're only allowed up to 15 additional hours a week. Right, the required dates. So these dates are mandatory and can't be missed unless for extenuating circumstances. So like I said, we have our fall training. This is typically 2 weeks prior to fall move-in. So around about July 31st to August 19th. We do have our move-in and move-out. So that's for all semesters, so August, December, January, and May. Our development days, which is a week after fall move-in or before spring move-in. Our summer training, which is a week after spring move-out or before summer move-in. And then our in-services, which are the second Thursday of each month from 6 to 8 p.m. These dates are tentative, as we still are awaiting the official academic calendar. All right, how to apply. So the RA application is currently still open and will be open until tonight, December 8th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. The application is on ucf.ereslife.com. Within the application, you will need 2 references. We do prefer if one is UCF, but both must be non-family members. Reference forms are due tomorrow, December 9th by 11:59 p.m. All right. The application itself, there are some personality questions just to get to know a little bit more about you as a candidate. 5 short answer questions as well as job preferences for you. And then whenever you're within your application, you're able to edit it until you're finished and ready to submit. So you can go back and forth if you're still thinking on an answer. Your reference, though, will not be notified until after you completely finalize your application. So your reference will not be able to do that reference for you until you fully submit your application. Right. So now we're going to introduce our resident assistant panel that's here with us today. We'll start with Jack.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jack. I am a second-year RA. I'm a junior currently, and I am a kinesiology major.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gabe, and I am a first-year RA, and I am a junior and finance major.
Hi, everyone. My name is Justin. I am also a first year RA. I am a mechanical engineering major.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, we're going to get started with our questions. Our first question asks if you could say again how hard it would be for someone to be an RA under work study, especially when stating an application. I also wanted to ask about the interviews. When are they?
All right. So if anybody wants to speak, I know a few of you have done like research and other opportunities. If one of
Yeah,
our RAs.
I can talk about work study, and because I do research, and then they can talk a little bit about when interviews are and what those look like. But for work study, which is similar to what research is and things like that, I do research. It's actually not that hard. I only do research for 14 hours a week. I used to do it for a class, so I would do even less. But I wanted to continue the research that I was doing, so now I'm on a paid research opportunity. So I only do 14 hours a week, which is right under my contract limitation. So it's actually really nice. I just make sure that I'm time managing appropriately. So spending adequate time on like classes and things like that, RA work, like connected with my residents and making sure I'm having intentional, appropriate conversations with them. And then I make sure that I'm doing my research work as well. It's not really that bad as long as you're like not devoting too much time to your work study, as long as you're also being transparent with like your boss for your work study and being like, hey, I have another opportunity coming up that's also here for my professional development. And if you can help accommodate that, that'd be great. You just have that conversation with them and they'll understand that and work with you.
Thank you. Okay, and in terms of the interviews, they're most likely going to be within the first week of February. If you do move past the application stage, you would receive an email with upcoming steps and have those specific dates as well. And then a follow-up question about the work study within the 15 hours. You just want to see how the process work again if you are not selected, and would it not be just a matter of seeing other candidates with an explanation? So if you are not accepted, you would have to reapply again if you are interested in the following year. And we do send out like a standardized email notifying you of your status. If you're interested in receiving any feedback, you are more than welcome to email us as well and ask for any feedback regarding your interview or your application. We 100% want to support students in their development, so you can always ask us any questions. All right, and our next question, is there a specific background of work that makes one more qualified? What makes someone a good candidate?
Go ahead, Gabe.
I wouldn't say there's any specific background work that makes you more qualified. I mean, obviously you have to be like kind of customer facing, so any type of background where you had to deal with people or like talk to people, answer questions and all that, that's pretty important. At least for my background, I mean, I worked at Walmart when I was in high school, and while I was in UCF, I did student government and I was volunteering. So those things makes me like, I guess I wouldn't say qualified, but like made me knowledgeable about what I need to know about being an RA is. When what makes someone a good candidate, it's up to your experience. And being personable is one of them. Being able to kind of speak on your experience, speak about the questions that they ask you, and being to tie that to what you learn or what you can do as an RA is pretty important too. So make sure you do that.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a wide variety of things that we are looking for. For a lot of RAs, this is their very first job, so you don't need exact direct experience. Jack, I know you had wanted to add something.
No, that was exactly what I was going to say. I was
Okay.
going to say one of my coworkers, it's his first job ever. So just understanding that like it's not all about like your resume or something like that, and being like just confident in yourself and make sure that you're putting your best self forward. Because at the end of the day, like when you're having conversations with residents, they're not going to be like, oh, he worked at X, Y, and Z. Like that doesn't matter when you're having a conversation with them. Your authentic self is going to be having a conversation with them. That's all they're looking for.
Exactly. Okay. Next question. What is it like managing your personal life, academic life, and RA life? If RAs want to take this one.
I'll take this one. So it's not the easiest, but it's very doable. You're gonna have to be like very organized. I personally, I had to learn that the hard way. Going into the RA role, I was more on the relaxed side going in. I didn't realize that considering I'm a mechanical engineering major, it is a very tough role and a very tough major. I had to change my day-to-day, organize my life a little more. So I came into the role, had a pretty rough summer semester, and that was my first semester into the job. But then I also had to notice that I have support around me. So I talk to my grads, my coordinators. So in Lake Claire, we have 4 grads and a coordinator, and they're all there to help and support you. So don't be afraid to reach out to those people. I even spoke to upper management. So we have associate directors. I've spoken to people up there. You just have to be sure that you're reaching out to the people around you, making sure you use that support, keep yourself organized, and it's a very doable process to like balance all those things.
I just want to add too is like if you think that you don't have a good work life balance, I think this is something you're gonna learn while you're in the job as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And our next question, Kelsey, if you want to read this
Yeah.
one.
So the next question is the hiring process disability friendly? So of course we aim to make sure that everybody has the same playing field whenever they go through our hiring process at large. If there's any accommodations that anybody viewing this or present in our chat today needs, we do recommend you reach out to Res Life Selection at ucf.edu. That's also on a later slide as well to make sure that you have that.
Alrighty. Next question. If you get the position as an RA, is it hard to break a contract with the housing you have that is associated with the school? No, it's actually very easy. So we do highly recommend that if you are going to look for a lease externally, it is with one of our affiliated housings. If it is an on-campus housing, we will completely handle that for you. And if it's with an off-campus affiliate, which is
The Point, Union West, and Light Circle. Those 3 we do have a memorandum of understanding with as a department, and we are able to contact them in order to break your lease if you do have a contract or a lease with those 3 in particular.
Yes. Okay, next question. How possible is it to do extracurriculars like on-campus clubs? Very possible. I'm going to let all 3 of our RAs answer that one.
I'll go ahead and start. It is really possible. It all really depends on obviously academics come first. You're a student first, so you have to make sure that you are prioritizing your classes and what classes you take. It all depends on your semester. Obviously, this job, there are gonna be times where it's gonna be really like a lot where you have to like do bulletin boards, like door decorations, and making sure you're on top of your things, but it is possible. I would like to speak on my experience. I'm in student government right now, and we have a structure base in Senate where I have to attend meetings every week. I have to attend committees. I have to like do this and that. Like, it is very possible. I'm not in any clubs, so I can't speak on clubs. But obviously, like, it's an student government is an organization, so it kind of runs like a club at that point. So if you would like to, it just depends on how much you can handle, and that's gonna be up to you and just testing the waters and how much you can handle.
I can kind of add to this. So I'm in a plethora of things. I was in lead as a student and as a peer mentor. So I taught for lead as well. My last year, I don't currently teach. I also do research. Like I said, I'm in ROTC. I'm contracted for them. So I work for ROTC roughly 20 to 30 hours a week. That does not bump into my contract hours. So that's a totally separate thing that I handle with my boss. So don't be worried about that. I'm also in 2 clubs and in Greek life. So I'm very involved and very active. Luckily, I'm not a mechanical engineer. I don't have the misery that Justin goes through. I'm a kinesiology major. My life is much easier. So I have more time for professional development compared to someone that is much more academically inclined than I am. But it is very possible to do extracurriculars, specifically clubs. They love to see that. The people that are hiring you love to see that as well. It looks great on you as a person, you as a leader, and a lot of the soft skills that you're gaining from things like clubs are going to be very needed in the future.
Yeah, so just adding on to that, like he said, I do have a tougher major, but it's really just about like balancing it. So, like I said earlier, I came into the role not really knowing that perfect balance, but throughout this semester, I found that balance, and I even still have time to go out, hang out with friends, go to my clubs. I'm in like 2 or 3 different engineering related clubs. So it's like you really just have to make sure you manage your time well. So, you have bulletin boards, you want to plan those ahead of time, get those out the way as soon as possible. Make sure you're scheduling and just making sure you prioritize your time to your best needs. And it's very possible to get involved in all that stuff.
I think I'm actually going to add on to that real quick. Justin said something that was really good. A lot of the things that you do as an RA are self-paced. There's nothing that's going to be like launched onto you that you need to do like that day. So everything that you're doing is on your contract and on your calendar. And if it's not, and you don't know, you can ask your boss and he can tell, like he or she can tell you day one, here's every date for the entire semester or the whole year. And you can plan everything out. So if you have a week of free time, you can do your bulletin board, like PowerPoints 6 months in advance. And then all you have to do when it comes to like that month and it's time to put it up is like print it out rather than creating it. And then like nights, you can knock on a door at 9 a.m. or you can knock on a door at midnight. Well, not midnight, but like 8 p.m. And like, you get the point of like, it's very flexible. And it's not like, oh, at this exact hour, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. It's very flexible. So you just have to manage your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next question.
Yes, the next question is, how does the weekly stipend stuff work? Does it change based on where you're working at? So our RAs get a bi-weekly stipend. It does change based on where they're working at. I'm going to be honest, I don't remember all of them based off the top of my head. However, if you are selected for the process, whenever you have that contract, you'll be able to see that payment that is standard bi-weekly through the time of your employment.
Next question.
Right. The next question is if you are in the dorm system that you're applying for and physically can't move, is that a lower, higher chance? Not necessarily, no. That is not a lower, higher chance. That's just something that you would have to itemize within your application. And then during the application process through our process, you can mention that, especially if it's things that are outside of your control.
And our next question, for our references, can we on their behalf or they send in a PDF letter of recommendation? Mine both sent me letters after asking, and I felt bad to ask again on such short notice to do another thing. So unfortunately, we can't accept direct letters of recommendation because the way we use our reference forms is very unique. So we actually send all of the references a specific form for them to fill out that isn't a letter format. It is very quick to do, I will say. So I would recommend to reach out to them before tomorrow and ask them if they could access the form like within a reasonable timeline. I will say it does not take very long, and you can attest to that when reaching out to them again.
Yeah, it literally takes like 2 minutes.
Yes.
If you already have a letter of rec from your person, I would just contact them and be like, hey, I know you already wrote this. Sorry to bother you, but like, can you just fill out? It's like 10 questions, and all that we do as like people that are writing letter of recs is click like strongly agree to not agree pretty much. And like, that's about it. And it's like 15 questions in total. It's really short.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we do not currently have any other questions. I'll give like another minute if anyone has any other questions they want to toss in. In the interim, I will toss in a little question to our RAs, see if they can answer. If RAs want to answer, why did you apply to be an RA?
I can kind of speak on this. I like being around people. I'm very social, especially after COVID. I realized I need to make friends and I wanted to like get to know people. So that's the biggest thing I applied to be an RA, besides the free housing. But we don't talk about that. Besides the free housing, of course, being able to make connections with people, your residents, your coworkers, everyone's really friendly to you, and you can be friendly with people, and it's just fun to be around people. I guess that's my favorite thing.
For me, it was just I'm a very social person, and it was just my way of giving back that social. So when I first got to UCF, I was in Neptune 158, and I'll always shout out my RA Nathan for that because he really showed me what it was like building a community. I really can say I knew everybody who lived on my floor, and that was entirely because of him, and that inspired me because I love that social aspect, and his ability to bring us all together really inspired me to want to do that same thing. So, like, literally half the things I do as an RA, it's directly related to like what he did. It really like made me want to follow in his footsteps basically. So he was a big inspiration, and then also like me being a social person, I wanted to give that back to other people as well.
Yeah, pretty similar to Justin. My sister actually was also an RA. Many of them know my sister, she was great as an RA. And so I saw the community that she was building. And then when I came to UCF, my RA, Zoe, was also a fantastic RA, and she created a great community when I was there. And she was the one who actually wrote my letter of rec. And she was the one who also convinced me to apply, because she was like, you'd be a fantastic candidate. You like people and you like getting to know people. So big shout out to Zoe. She was a great role model and example of like what a good RA is supposed to be. And she pretty much peer pressured me into being one.
Thank you. Okay. Our very last question says, when you're on call or working in the community office, are you doing RA work, or are you able to do your schoolwork at the same time? There we go. Gabe, you got this.
When you're on call, or in working community office, you can do your schoolwork. Basically, it's just an office job. When you're on call and you're in your office, you just you answer calls. Of course, you respond to anything that happens in the community. But when there's like free time, like I guess like leisure time, of course you can like go on your laptop and like do homework, watch like your lecture videos and all of that. Especially for me, like I'm a finance major, so most of my lectures are online. So I have to watch these lectures on my own time, and that's like the perfect time for me to do it, is when like I'm in the community office, so I don't get distracted by anything. But yeah, when you're on call, you just have to be in your community. When you're on call, you can do other things. Of course, you can just you can be in your dorm and doing homework. You can be in the community office doing homework or whatever you need to do. You don't have to like just be doing RA work, like doing rounds and stuff. That's like something that you do like at a certain time.
I could add on to that too. Like, I literally right now I am on call and I'm doing this. Like, just because you're on call, it's not limiting you from like doing other things. The only limitation you have while on call is leaving the community. It sounds a lot worse when you hear it in numbers, but when you're actually in the position, it's not that bad. You're just sitting in the community. You still do your own thing. Yes, sometimes you'll have to do RA work when it comes to like the technicality sides of it, like situations you're dealing with. But for the most part, you're just doing your own thing until it's time to go back home and just hold the phone.
I'm going to have a hot take and add on to this. I actually would advise putting all of your RA work off until the day that you're scheduled to do RA work anyway. I know that's a niche take, and everyone's like, "Oh, you can be in office and do your like schoolwork." I always wait to do all of my RA work until the day that I'm already forced doing RA work. So then I sit in office and I log all my night to nights, or I'll do my bulletin boards, and then I only have one day that I have to work for housing a week, and it's pretty great. Makes my life easier. Some people like to study on duty. Pretty much everyone studies on duty. I'm weird. I actually do housing work when I'm on duty. Very niche opinion of mine, I know.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the variety of opinions. Now I have our very, very, very last question. So what should we expect this upcoming month until January? And I saw you met February. So this upcoming month, we will be doing application reviews. And then in January, you will receive a notice of whether you'll be moving forward to our group process or if you'll be removed from the process. Following the group process will be the individual interviews, and following the individual interviews will be either an offer to move forward or offer for hire, our alternate list, or a no hire. Alrighty, now that we've finished all of our questions, we're going to return to our presentation.
Alrighty, so as I said earlier, our application does close tonight. So if you still haven't clicked on the application, or if you want to go back and finish your application, we have a QR code here that will lead you to that application. This is our last Q&A info session. So this is our last one. Thank you for coming. We can go to the next slide. All right. Last but not least, if you're interested, please do apply to be an RA. It's a great opportunity. You heard from our RAs here tonight. But our application is ucf.ereslife.com for our application. And then if you have any questions throughout the process, please email reslifeselection@ucf.edu. Thank you all for joining.
Bye.